Hey everyone, it's Elizabeth here. So today I just want to share some thoughts in regards to why everybody, should go or consider going on a spiritual journey. I'm 33 and I've had a ton of different spiritual journeys or experiences in my life, basically starting at the age of 20. And a lot of this rooted to the need to want to change as a better person or something like to improve my health. Now, a lot of spiritual journeys can be vacations or, these experiences like walking the Camino Trail in Spain. And although those are really great and beneficial, not everybody has the opportunity or the luxury to afford such type of experiences. And so I think there's a lot of different journeying that we can do, especially right from the comfort of your own house. A lot of my journeying occurred through travel as well as spending a lot of time in nature alone with very contemplative thoughts. I'm very much a thinker. Sometimes I overthink. It has led me in the past to becoming an insomniac. So that is something that you definitely have to manage or maintain if you are that type of person. So at the age of 20, when I moved to Australia, I just spent a lot of time reflecting at the beach and kind of looking at the ocean and just looking at the Southern Cross in the sky, because the sky is so different in the Southern Hemisphere that not only are there star alignments different, but Australia, it wasn't overcrowded or overpolluted at the time like America was, especially with light pollution. So you would see things like the Milky Way at night. And then at 22, kind of going in between some hardships between the Australia journey, I ended up in India studying yoga and backpacking. And that obviously was a transformational journey, looking at the Vedic studies from yoga, Vedic astrology, in addition to Ayurveda, the nutritional component of healing. I ended up back in Australia, which kind of was a little bit of another spiritual journey. And then I think living in Europe with my ex-husband was definitely a spiritual journey, just because those are my roots. My roots come from Eastern Europe. My family did survive World War II, so there was a lot of healing that occurred through different ways of just going to places that I've always wanted to go to. So I guess what I'm trying to convey in this message is that I think at some point in our lives, we all want something that is better for us. And I think generally the healthier path in life, which is walking away from toxic environments, whether that's a toxic partner, toxic coworkers, things like this, we only have so much of a capacity for things that are toxic unless you thrive off of that stuff. You only have so much energy that you can burn, or only so much of a breaking point that you can deal with, to where it gets to the point where you need to change or need to improve. And the spiritual journey, obviously I have a little bit of hippie roots to me, and not everybody's spiritual journey is going to be the exact same. I don't think it's very common. If I looked at a 45-year-old hardcore conservative Republican guy, I don't foresee him going to India to find himself at a yoga ashram. Like, that's just not going to work. But maybe he would be open to being more of like a mountain man and trying to find himself through hiking or by visiting places that he's never been. Or maybe he does have an interest in the Bible and he needs to go to like a Bible study or go to some form of group or therapeutic event that can happen to them. And a lot of spiritual journeying can happen from home, from the comfort of your own couch. I mean, the internet has given us an opportunity to access resources and information at the click of a button. And you can Google really anything, like how to go on a spiritual journey, or just if you have an interest in, say, Christianity, you can just go ahead and Google like Bible verses that maybe would help you in your point in time. So spiritual journeying, I think, is something that can also occur through writing. I think writing is very healing. It's getting your thoughts, especially things that are in your subconscious, down on paper. It becomes a tangible thing that you can read, and then you can look back and reflect on the things that you wrote days ago or months ago or maybe even years ago, and look at how far you've come from these things. I know when I was in Australia, I definitely wanted to become a writer, and the first step was writing a journal. And I look back 13 years ago and I'm like, wow, I remember really suffering through body image issues, or I really remember being an exercise addict where because of my body image issues, I would exercise 3 to 4 hours a day, 6 days a week. I was burnt out. I was exhausted. I still didn't lose any weight because I didn't eat that much. So I think when you want to find a change in your life, I really think the root of a lot of things today are coming from a lack of spiritual knowledge, spiritual fulfillment, spiritual well-being. The world is filled with intellectual individuals. It's very logical. We are very smart. We're probably more intelligent in terms of intellect today, more so today than ever before. But what we're lacking is the wisdom that comes from the earth, or the wisdom that comes from God, or from the heavens, understanding the differences between the light and the dark. And this is where the spiritual journeying comes into place. It's really looking at the light and the dark components that are not only within you and within your life, but what do you let into your life and existence, and what are you shutting out, or what are you pushing away? Darkness is very intoxicating. It's very addictive. If you look at things like drugs, sex, and alcohol, and like say sugar, all of this lights up the same components of the brain. I mean, even falling in love, you're getting dopamine hits, and that's lighting up the same center of your brain as does cocaine and meditation and sugar and sex and all that stuff. So a lot of this is rooting to obviously being like emotional high components, but I just don't think we need any more intellectual egoic problems. I think we are facing a lot of intellectual and consciousness problems nowadays, especially in toxic work environments where people feel threatened that their coworkers are going to take their job. People in America are so attached to their work in terms of their identity that they don't know what to do with themselves outside of work, because they're either a workaholic or their identity is being a software engineer, and they don't know anything beyond that because they spend their entire existence behind a computer screen. So I think this is important. I think this is where we're heading. I've mentioned this in other videos before. We are entering a paradigm shift. People are sick and tired of being sick and tired. They're sick and tired of corruption, of, the government lying to us. They're sick and tired of toxic coworkers. They're sick and tired of being treated like shit. Sick and tired of getting cheated on and all this stuff. So in order to change and to have better things in your life, you do have to start changing things within yourself. And I really believe this is rooting to the spiritual and emotional well-being of ourselves. So maybe you do need to read a couple, theory books on spirituality, or if you're curious on Christianity or Buddhism, maybe you're going to dabble into that, or maybe yoga in general is just going to help you on your path, because you're going through a hormonal change when you go through a yoga class. So obviously you leave feeling good about yourself and feeling better. You don't usually leave a yoga class feeling like shit unless the instructor is really bad and kind of degrades you in class, which that very rarely happens. But I think we are facing consciousness and egoic problems. And the more we can raise our consciousness, the more we can get in touch with our spiritual well-being. This, I think, can greatly impact a lot of change. If you look at a lot of great scientists from the 1700s, or writers, artists, whatever, like Goethe and Alexander von Humboldt, they really balanced the intellectual world and the intelligent world. And when I say intelligence, I'm talking about the more wise components of life. They did believe in pseudosciences, especially somebody like Leibniz. He created the binary code, which is what software engineers and computer geeks are using today, but the binary code was also one of the main components into the spiritual component of I Ching. And he also believed in like the metaphysical world. It's things that Plato and all the Greeks and the Romans believed in this stuff as well. So I think because we are so intellectual, we think that the people from the past were really stupid to consider the natural world and or the spiritual world, or question what's in the stars and what's in the heavens. But they don't realize that this intellectual overdrive is actually what is part of the problem today, and it's what's making us a little more stupid today. It's because we don't have any of this spiritual backbone to us. So anyways, I would love to know if you're on a spiritual journey, or if you are considering one, what you're looking to do. There are many ways to grow yourself spiritually. I mean, fitness in general is spiritual. I've had this argument with a ton of different people in the industry. When you can overcome an obstacle or a challenge in your life and actually get up and physically be able to do something in a gym, which is something that you may not have ever been able to do before, it increases your self-efficacy, that increases your self-esteem, and that gives you a belief that you can overcome anything in your life that is of a challenge. All right, those are some thoughts for today. Please subscribe below, help out this channel if you can. I would love to hear your thoughts and hope everybody has a great day. See you later. Bye.